Hi guys, thank you for joining me today. Matt Jones with the Life 2.0. Now, I'm going to talk today about something that's very important to me, something that I haven't really talked about much on the podcast, but I believe it's very important. Now, whatever your background, your belief system, whether you're into atheism or Christianity or Judaism or you're Muslim, this podcast I'm not talking anti-religion today. I'm just talking about the moral background for me and how I went from being a believer, being raised that way in my community and my family, and how I lost it. And this is a very big deal for people when you lose your faith. It just feels like you're jumping off a cliff. Sometimes it feels like a lot of baggage. It feels like you're putting like a whole new backpack on. Because no longer are people giving you ready-made answers, to the biggest, profound answers of the universe. You have to give it to yourself. And I found it very hard, and I struggled with it. And then after a while, the more I dove into books and education, the more liberating it actually felt in the end. So I'm talking today, guys, about The Atheist Guide to Happiness, Finding Fulfillment Without Faith. So whatever you believe, you might get something out of this. If you are thinking about this type of a belief system, then it might give you some perspective. I just want to talk today about how this influenced me. I tend to talk a lot about personal development, self-help, entrepreneurship, stuff I'm into like that. And so I found it really important to talk about this today. I don't find many people on self-help podcasts talking about their personal religion or beliefs. But it was important to me for my moral foreground and how it basically set the stage for everything I do today and what I believe. So, I hope you get some value out of this today. I just really want to just talk straight to you today, no filter, and then we'll see where we go. I really don't have a huge plan for this. So what I'm going to do is simply just talk about my story and how it all happened for me. So when I was 19, I basically stopped believing in God. And there was no real grand moment of rebellion, no tragic event that turned me bitter, and certainly no cliche lightning bolt moment of clarity. It was more of like a slow unraveling over several years, a very quiet but undeniable realization that I just didn't buy into it anymore. It started when I was a kid sitting in church. It started when I was 15 and my best friend died. And then a few other things happened, and I also read a book called The Wisdom of Insecurity by Alan Watts, and it really changed my perspective. And it's not insecurity as a personal trait, it's insecurity in the general way of how most people view life, the futility of existence, and how we can't just simply be here one day and then be gone the next. There's got to be more meaning to it. So that profound idea really planted a seed inside of my mind that just kind of grew and grew. I do remember sitting in church one Sunday morning, looking around at the congregation. Everyone seemed like genuinely moved by the songs and sermons, but I remember sitting there feeling like an outsider. And particularly when I was a kid, I remember thinking, I found out the Easter Bunny wasn't real. And that kind of pissed me off. And then eventually I found out Santa Claus was real, and that kind of pissed me off. And then one day I remember sitting in church thinking, wait a minute, I've been lied to about all these things. Is God the same way? Is he the same way? Anyway, so there was a moment, but then obviously many years went by and I didn't think about it anymore. But that seed got planted. But I definitely started to feel like an outsider from my family, from my community, all the people I know. And I was grappling with these questions that no one seemed to answer when I really got into the nitty-gritty of it. And the problem wasn't God per se. The problem was that I felt like I was pretending, just because of my family bought into it, so I need to buy into it, or my friends bought into it, so I need to buy into it. And as I started to become a man and go over these questions, then it didn't make sense to me anymore. So let's talk about what atheism actually means. What does atheism mean? So basically it means it is the absence of belief in any gods or divine beings, representing a worldview centered on logic, evidence, and the human experience. So unlike traditional religious belief systems, atheism does not adhere to a sacred text or rituals, universal doctrines, making it very uniquely diverse and individualistic. So, interestingly enough, atheism is actually on the rise around the world, particularly in secular and high-income nations where more individuals are seeking meaning through personal growth, through relationships, and ethical values rather than religious frameworks. So learning to just be a good person for the sake of being a good person, for example, right? You don't need someone to tell you that to be that person, to be that individual. So this perspective, it really aligns with more humanist principles, really prioritizing morality, empathy, and societal progress without reliance on supernatural beliefs. And this is something that I've really got behind. I don't need someone to tell me not to murder somebody, right? I don't need I don't need someone to tell me not to cheat on my partner, right? I don't need to be told not to murder somebody, right? Like, these are all things we can all kind of universally agree on. So when you first get into atheism, you start to audit yourself. Who am I? What do I value? What do I believe in? And some people, that can seem a little bit scary or terrifying. Well, if someone doesn't tell me what I should believe, what should I believe? Well, figure it out. Who are you? What do you believe? And like I said, I find this experience very liberating. So, dropping, in terms of the road to this, for me, I was raised Christian, but, dropping Christianity wasn't easy. It felt like I was stepping off a train that everybody else in my life was still riding. And for a while, I floated in this weird liminal space, half free, half lost. And that's when I started to turn more books, specifically at college. I figured if faith couldn't really answer my deep, burning questions, maybe philosophy could. And so I devoured Nietzsche, Alan Watts, Sartre, who's a French existential philosopher, Christopher Hitchens, Dawkins, and even dabbled in Taoism. Taoism especially hit for me. It has a real emphasis on balance and flow without any real promises of heaven or threats of hell and burning forever. Right? It felt very freeing, and I didn't need to force answers to the big questions because sometimes life doesn't really offer them, and that's okay. And that's what I liked about Taoism. It has very non-answer answers, as I like to call them. And it made sense to me in a way that religion certainly never really did. But, let's be honest. Walking the atheist path in a world dominated by belief systems isn't all rainbows and poetry. Atheism around the world can be viewed very negatively. Some people in parts of the world will actually murder you if you're an atheist. You say you are, you try to promote it in certain areas of the world. It's kind of scary. Religion has brought a lot of wars and death, and that's one of the things that really impacted me when I was a kid. Just all these threats. I'm on this team, therefore I'm going to kill you. And that doesn't sound like love to me. If religion was supposed to be all love, why can't somebody be free to believe whatever they want to believe, and you don't have to hate them for it. So that was definitely a big thing for me that drew me away from religion, if I'm honest about it. Some of the religious people I know personally in my life are some of the most hateful, judgmental people I know. And that comes with the territory, even though they usually preach, you shouldn't judge. I don't believe in prejudging people. I don't believe in prejudice. I do believe in judgment, though. If I know you and certain things happen, I need to be able to protect myself against you moving forward. That's how you grow and you learn. You don't put your hand on a hot stove, right? The second time. The first time you get burnt or somebody burns you, the second time not to be around them or do that. So I absolutely believe in judgment. I'm allowed to judge as many people as I want, as long as I know you. I'm not prejudging you. So something else that I believe in my life, it's okay to judge. If you're a dick, you're a dick, whatever, right? If you're a crappy person, I don't want to be around you anymore. I'm judging you. And my judgment tells me that for me to be happy, I need to stay away from you. And this happens in relationships, this happens in work, lots of areas of life. So I think it's okay. Just not prejudging people. So, atheists like me, I don't need a deity to find meaning, morality, or happiness. And I believe we find it right here in this one great life. And that's what I like about a lot of atheists. People think it's all negative, but it's actually very positive, because you're not looking for happiness in an afterlife. So this life you can just kind of do whatever you want, wing it, not really treat people well. You want to make the most out of this one great life we have, get the most out of it, do great things, be ambitious. And this ties into my entrepreneurial, personal development, business I've built here, and personal philosophy, and my value system, how I live every day. And I believe in kindness and treating all people with respect, no matter who you are. And I find that more genuine and authentic, not because I'm trying to VIP my way into heaven. Right? So let's talk about fulfillment a little bit. So what fulfillment looks like for a positive atheist? I consider myself a positive atheist. You can find very negative atheists, and they're all doom and gloom. And I can be doom and gloom, going through a journey like this and losing your faith. You have to be negative and look at the dark sides of life. So, but it doesn't mean you have to let it control your mind and emotions and be down about everything because other people believe differently from you. It just is what it is. So, for me, fulfillment doesn't come from awaiting the awards in an afterlife. It comes from building something meaningful in this life. So, I find it in family and friends. There's nothing more grounding than spending time with people who truly know you, who truly love you. They know every secret about you. And, I cherish all those little moments where I get to laugh with them, I get to cry with them, grow with them, learn about them. And community is everything. And you know this in your own life. Those things are everything. Life is boring on your own. Life is so special when it is shared with those people around you. And also your community, helping others, being around others, and being part of something larger than myself fills me with more purpose, hence why I'm, doing this podcast. Even if I can reach one person today and I know that, I made something made more sense for them, or I gave them a bit of purpose or motivation, or, they just like having some encouragement, that means everything to me. It's part of my mission in life, right? I don't have a purpose. I don't believe we were born with purpose, as in this like divine purpose. I believe we have utility and that we can create a mission of our own. We can create our own purpose. One of my favorite quotes in life is, you don't find yourself, you create yourself, right? People go around life and they think, if I do this, if I travel to this place, or I do this one thing, or I look under this rock, or, eventually I will find myself. And that's a very reactive approach to life. You don't want to be that way. You want to be proactive. So that's why I believe you create yourself, you create your life. I mean, how liberating is that? Right? You have agency. You are in control of your life. There's nothing more empowering than that. So also, deciding my own morality. I don't need the commandments on a stone tablet, to tell me to be good, right? None of us really do. Being kind for kindness' sake is more authentic, in my opinion. So I get fulfillment from my own morality. Also, the little things. And if you're struggling right now, you're depressed, you have no money, or you're just going through a breakup, or someone died, you start to live in your gratitude a little bit more. And, when people say gratitude and just be more grateful, it comes off kind of trite and empty, because it's just what a lot of people say. But when you've actually lived the experience and you have nothing left in your life being grateful is everything. Whether it's having a nice cup of coffee in the morning, looking at a beautiful sunset, seeing the smile on my son's face, or him coming up to me and giving me a hug and a kiss and saying, "I love you, Dad." Like, it's just everything to me. And if you start to appreciate all those little things and be more present in your daily life, this veil will kind of come off your life. And when you start to live it every day and actually really live in it, not think about the future every day or this bill or that thing I got to do, you learn to bend time a little bit. I really feel like you bend time, because when you're in those moments of pure presence, when you're doing something you love and enjoy, you're not thinking about the past, not the future, time has a way of kind of stopping. You notice this when you're doing something really fun. So, being more present and being appreciative for a roof over my head, a full belly, and a blanket is everything. So I get fulfillment from those little things. Not because someone told me to be happy and be grateful, because I felt the feelings of that emotion. I do believe in the law of attraction. I believe you can attract a more positive mindset no matter what you're going through. You can attract a better body. You can attract more money into your life. All these little things. But it's not this thing that's floating around blessing you. It's not this, special power. It's just... It's a belief. It's a belief. What I do every day has actions and consequences that could be negative or they could be positive. It's really semantics, So, I think overall, when you strip away the expectation of another life, I think the beauty of this life really becomes much sharper. And I'm sure you guys probably feel the same way, but we don't always think about it that way. So, let's talk about, why atheism isn't the villain. Why, people are very negative when it comes to atheists and them choosing not to believe in gods. I've been asked before, why are you an atheist? You certainly can't believe in nothing. Well, it's not that I don't believe in nothing. I don't prescribe to what I'm told to believe in this world, in this universe at the moment. It's interesting, if you ask a Christian, if they believe in the old Greek gods of the day, Zeus. Do you believe in Zeus? They'll often say, well, no. Okay, okay. Do you believe in other gods, in the Muslim religion? No, I don't believe in those. Those aren't real. Only my God is right. Well, it's like, so technically you actually don't believe in other gods, just like me. I just believe in one more than you. Your God. So if you think about it, all religious people are kind of atheists in their own way. I think there's around 3,000 gods in the world, technically. And they just believe in the one. So something to think about there. So take it easy on us atheists, okay? Because you're in the same boat. So atheists aren't nihilists, right? We're not all doom and gloom. We don't sit around in dark rooms muttering about the void. Sure, there are atheists who lean that way, just like there are miserable people in any belief system. But for me, atheism, it's the opposite of despair, right? It's empowerment and liberation. So I think for me, by letting go of the idea of a higher power orchestrating everything, I found more peace than I ever did waiting for some kind of a sign of divine intervention. I know that my life is mine to shape, and I'm not wasting time waiting around hoping someone else is going to come fix it, right? No one is going to come save me. And that's just great general advice in life. No one is coming to save you, all right? You have to pull yourself up. You have to go through misery and failures and learn to keep reacting to life and building yourself up, because that's how you're going to get through it. Life is hard. It is challenging, all right? But it can be a lot less hard and a lot less challenging when you accept it. And then you learn to just move on whenever you have a disappointment or a failure. So, atheists, you take responsibility for your actions, your thoughts, your choices. So I find this to be extremely empowering. Rather than someone telling me, why is this happening to me? Oh, well, God has a purpose for everything. God has a reason for everything. Well, I'm sorry. I don't believe everything happens for a reason. Let me say that again. I don't believe everything happens for a reason. And when I hear it, it drives me insane. I can't stand that saying. Oh, man. I think we will come up with a reason for things happening to us, right? We will try to justify things happening to us and think that there's a grander purpose to it, when really it's just something that happened on Tuesday, right? And then another thing's going to happen to you on Wednesday. I got cut off on the highway, and I pulled over, and while I was there, a bear came out of the woods, and he smiled at me. And then that day I realized that maybe I should take this job. It's like, what? Okay, just stop. What happened is you got cut off on the highway, and you stopped on the side of the road. I'm just coming up with ridiculous examples here. I don't know. But we will try to come up with reasons for happening to us to make life feel... make it feel more fulfilling, like there's a reason for everything and we were meant to be here, all these things. So that's the type of thing I strip away. I just can't buy into it, unfortunately. So let's talk about the balance of belief and non-belief. So, some people may ask me if I hate religion, and the answer is no, I don't hate religion. When I was younger and I lost my faith and I felt like I was being lied to, I definitely did. I hated it. I was mad for a little while. I was really mad. But, people are allowed to believe whatever they want to believe, no matter how ridiculous you think it is. And it gives some people don't think about these things as much as I do, and I understand that. I like to go down deep and scrutinize everything, about what I believe and why I believe it. I can see the comfort it brings to others, my family and friends, and I respect that. But for me, it just didn't fit. I needed to live the most authentic, pure life I could, and if I felt the answers were off or false, or there was another reason to the text I was reading, then I just couldn't buy into it. Atheism doesn't have to mean rejecting everything about faith and communities. There's a lot of beautiful teachings in the Bible and all sorts of different religious texts. But there's a lot of wisdom to be found in philosophy, meditation, and ancient teachings within Taoism and Buddhism that I really love. The Eightfold Path of Buddha is something that I basically think I follow and I get a lot of value from. So anyways, I'm not here to convert anyone. I'm just, like I said, I'm just offering my perspective here and kind of how I went through it. So I think atheism really challenges stereotypes, and I think that's why a lot of people get offended by it. It makes them question their own worldview, and that can be offensive to people. Now, I don't say this to be offensive or talk about it because I want to be offensive to anybody or act like I'm better than anybody. Certainly not. This is just my perspective and how I found it to change my life and create the foundation for everything I've done, the countries I've traveled to, the books I've written, and the businesses that I've started. I believe in being a self-starter and being responsible for everything I do and doing what I want to do, what I love to do. So here we are. Studies have also revealed that atheists really value family, freedom, and community to a similar extent as the general population. Just because I'm different doesn't mean I don't want to be around people or help other people, right? I want to do it because I want to do it for people, not because I'm told to or think I should, because I want people to look at me a certain way. I've been a people pleaser a lot of my life, and I've a lot of people really live this way, really caring about what other people think. And when you learn to drop that and you learn to be more of your authentic self, you get a lot of value out of it, and you get more empowered and more confident. So atheists really reject the notion of purposelessness, instead finding meaning in personal autonomy, human dignity, and also connecting with nature. I love nature. I'm awe-inspired by nature. Not to be too cheesy, but I really am. I love a hike, a walk. Being out in the sun just makes me feel better, Now, while atheism varies widely across demographics and cultures. Its growth, I think, is largely influenced by generational shifts. You see a lot more of it today. Education, social norms, particularly in wealthier nations. Asia, I think in China, around 90% of the population identifies as atheism now. I see it a lot in the UK, Europe, a lot more than in the United States, where I've been most of my life. But now that I live in the UK, I do see that a lot more across the UK and Europe. You're seeing a lot more of that. So I think this evolving demographic really offers a rich perspective on morality and purpose outside traditional frameworks. So like I said, atheism, finding fulfillment, it's a life worth living, right? I don't think life is meaningless. I find meaning every day in everything I do. Being a parent, being someone in business and entrepreneurship, being a friend, right? All these things. I believe in good because it's good, not because I'm chasing a VIP pass to heaven. I believe in making the most of this one incredible life we have, not because I think it's all meaningless, but because I believe it's so meaningful. Life as an atheist is about freedom, responsibility, and connection. And it's about looking at the world and saying, this is enough, because it is. This world is enough. It's amazing and beautiful. You just have to take a look around. Take a look around. It's not boring. We just forget how beautiful it is and move on with our lives. So if you ever felt like you don't quite fit the mold of traditional belief systems, or like you're searching for purpose outside of faith, you are not alone. And I'm right there with you. There's a whole world of fulfillment waiting for you without divine strings attached to it. And it is nice and it is beautiful. So if you're curious about how to navigate life without the promise of an afterlife, keep following me. And I'd love to hear your story. If this is something you've gone through in your life and you've chosen to think a little bit differently about it and how you like to navigate it. Okay, so let's embrace this journey together, this amazing life. We're very lucky to be here. Very, very, very lucky to be here. So I thank you for listening to me today, guys. Please go to the website. I have a lot of free resources there around life goals. These are things I try to help people with, help them with actionable steps. We're so distracted today on our phones and TikTok and social media and TV and Netflix. We aspire for all these things we want in our life. So anyways, on the website, guys, I have some free tools there for actionable steps to get started. And I hope it helps you. And if you got this far, thank you so much for listening to my ramblings and my story. And I look forward to talking a little bit more about this on the next podcast. So lots of love, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.